And I spoke to attorney yesterday, but I'm calling him on. All right, thank you for coming.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. So where you want to start?
Let's start at the beginning. So I watched your video earlier today. You talked about robbery. You talked about burglary.
I never talked about robbery. I never said the word robbery.
You did, but that's okay.
No, I didn't. I said burglary.
That off. Well, okay, then we'll take that off the conversation. You want to start with burglary?
First degree burglary.
Let's start there. Tell me all of the evidence that you have that this man was committing a burglary.
Okay, you know, I'm assuming as a lawyer, you know the elements of the burglary crime in the state of Georgia, correct?
Correct. So tell me
my only burden of proof for a reasonable stop, or what you call probable cause, right? Because I don't need to prove it. The McMichaels don't need to prove it in court, right? They don't need to prove this in court. They just need to have a reasonable suspicion, right?
No.
They don't need to prove it in court to make a citizen's arrest, just like police don't have to prove it in court to initiate probable cause.
You're just wrong. It's that simple.
Well, let's start. Let me make sure everybody's clear on this. I don't want to get nothing misconstrued.
Sure.
Police officers make arrests based on probable cause. They don't make arrests on beyond a reasonable doubt. Am I right?
You're
okay. So a police officer can make an arrest based on probable cause, which means that a reasonable person will believe that a crime is afoot or the person has committed the crime. They make an arrest, it goes to court, and then the court has to decide if that person is guilty. Am I right? Burglary in the first degree, they have a reasonable suspicion to believe that he's committing burglary in the first degree. Now, here's my proof text. If a person enters a dwelling, and a dwelling according to Georgia law can be a structure that's erected, that's meant for humans to live in.
Wrong
for people to live in, right?
Wrong.
Also,
very wrong.
A dwelling, according to first degree burglary, can be occupied, unoccupied, or vacant.
Wrong.
According to Georgia law. You said it's wrong?
You're right. You're wrong. And here's why. I'm going to give you two reasons.
No. You're saying that's not Georgia law?
Correct. Here's the point that you're missing. It was the home under construction. There's Georgia case law that repeatedly says that it has to actually be occupied or be available to serve as a residence. You're misconstruing the word vacant to mean completed. This has been up on the Georgia Court of Appeals and the Georgia Supreme Court at least 3 times. And all 3 cases, convictions for burglarizing, quote unquote, a home that was under construction was kicked out. And the reason why was because it had to actually be a residence at the time of the alleged burglary.
Well, speak on the case. Now, I disagree with you, but speak on the case that just come up in case law, that's going to end up being case law, about the new conviction of a person doing exactly what Arbery did.
Correct.
And it looks like they're going to rule that is considered a dwelling. Am I right or am I wrong? Talk about that case law.
Sure, absolutely. So there's a case that came out 1 month after this shooting. It was a month afterwards. This is brand new law. In the new law, the Court of Appeals overturned prior case law that determined whether or not a house under construction was a burglary. Now, that law did not exist at the time of the shooting. It can't be used as a justification. Now, I don't want to believe that this former officer was some constitutional scholar who was studying developments in the case law.
Wait. So let's get this clear. You just told me that a case that's similar to this was overruled, and that they have determined at this point that a structure like the one that Arbery entered is considered a dwelling. Now, your argument isn't that the courts are not looking at it. You're saying because the justification today is not going to apply to what happened in February. Now, I disagree with you. So you can't make the argument.
That's okay. We can disagree on that, but we can agree that once you bring a gun to a fight with an unarmed man, you cannot use your production of that weapon to support a self-defense argument. Can we agree on that?
No, we don't agree to that because of a few things. Let's start from the beginning, brother, because we need to go down the spectrum. And I can bring you on the YouTube channel. We can have a more of a broader debate.
Yeah,
we're talking about burglary in the first degree. according to Georgia law, if you enter a dwelling, which you have just told me that case law is coming down to determine that this dwelling is considered to be in the burglary statute.
What we can agree is that it's unsettled law. How about that? How about we agree there?
Okay, it's unsettled law, so I'm not wrong. So, okay, let's go with this. And this is something they can determine in court. It's not something that you have to determine on the side of the road. With the intent to commit a felony or a theft, you are guilty of first-degree burglary, which is a felony. Now, the reason why that's the Georgia law. If you haven't read that, that's a huge mistake on your part.
I'm questioning your use of the word guilty. We're talking about probable cause. We're not.
Well, you can say, well, let me just remove the word guilty.
Yeah.
You are responsible. I gotta know. They have well, we can read the statute and the words are very clear. It says you should be charged with first degree burglary.
We'll agree with that.
Okay. So he goes up to a residence. He looks around. Nobody sees him. He runs into the residence. While he's in the residence, he's in there for almost 3 minutes, looking around. He's not just glancing. He's specifically looking around for certain things.
Can you point to the point when he committed the crime?
Well, it's intent. So I'm telling you, I'm building intent.
So tell me what his intent was.
His intent to take something.
And you're basing that on what?
The fact that he looked at the outside to make sure nobody was watching.
I look at outside houses all the time.
No. You haven't let me finish. You haven't let me finish. He looked at the outside to make sure nobody was watching. He goes in.
Two.
He's in the residence. Initially, he entered the garage. I don't know if he could make entry through the garage. He came out. He entered the house in another location. He's in the house looking around for almost 3 minutes.
Okay, that's your third point.
Okay, that's my third point. When you watch the way he's looking around, he's looking at specific areas, right or wrong?
Wrong.
He's not glancing.
You got 7 seconds of video. What are you talking about?
What?
You got 7 seconds of video. Here's what you've stacked on top of each other. Number one.
No.
Number two, he walked in 2 different entrances. And then number 3, he was looking suspicious.
No.
Show me the crime.
Listen, you're not listening.
Felony crime. And
You're not listening. You're not listening. Then once he had been discovered, he runs out of the place and flees. Now, a reasonable person would believe that his intent with going in that place wasn't to just figure out where his couch was at, because he wouldn't have been in there that long, and he wouldn't have ran when somebody identified that he was in the structure. So that would lead a person to believe that his intent was to steal something. Right or wrong?
Wrong.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion. You don't have to steal anything for a person to reasonably.
You can't be wrong when you conduct a citizen's arrest. This is very important.
How are they going to know what his brain thinking? That's not an obligation.
That's why you can't conduct these citizens' arrests unless you have actual personal knowledge that it actually happened. You can't just guess. Listen. That's the difference between a private citizen and a police officer. Like you were talking about earlier, a police officer can conduct an arrest based on probable cause. A citizen has to get it right.
As a citizen, how are you then to determine his intent?
This is the point. That's why the statute lays out very clearly. You have to have personal knowledge of the crime. You can't just guess.
No, they had personal knowledge.
Were the shooters in that building?
Hold on. Listen.
Did they observe him?
This is what you're not understanding. A citizen can watch a man go into a house that does not belong to him and be in the house for 3 minutes, and then once he is observed or caught, he runs out of the house. A citizen can believe that his intent, based on him running and fleeing the house, was to take something, but he was obstructed and ran. A citizen has the ability, and a citizen's arrest law says reasonable, probable grounds of suspicion.
Show me the word reasonable, probable grounds in the statute. Show that word to me.
Read the statute. You the lawyer. Read it to me.
You have it in front of you. Read it to us. Show
I don't
us the
have it in
word
front of me.
reasonable.
I don't have it in front of me. I'm
Show me
researching.
the word
I'll pull
reasonable.
it
I'm
up.
asking you.
No, I'm gonna pull it up for you. I'm gonna pull it up for you. Because you the lawyer and you coming on a live stream and you haven't read the statute.
I'm
Let me read
looking
it.
forward to you seeing the word reasonable in that statute.
Okay.
We're very excited. I can see the anticipation on your face. Show it to me.
I'll read it to you. I'll read it to you. See. We parse some words, man. I'm telling you.
It's the law.
I'm telling
man.
you that a citizen. No, I'm telling you that a citizen. I'm telling you.
Tell someone what the law is. You got to parse the words right.
Man, are we gonna read it? You see. Let me see if this is it right here.
Now, what you're going to see instead is the word that it requires personal observation of a crime.
You haven't read it. I know you haven't read it because you're talking at the beginning of the thing. You haven't read it. Just be honest.
Let's see.
Hold on 1 second. Now I put
the word OCGA instead of law, and that'll give you the statute.
No, it says it right here. Georgia's citizen arrest law allows people to arrest. Let me see.
That's not a statute. Go to the OCGA. Read the statute, not someone else's interpretation.
Of course, dude. I'm trying to find it. I've already read it on my live stream. On my last video, but I don't remember it verbatim, but I know the context of it. But let me find it.
If you're telling people what the law is, let's get it right.
I read it. I've read it verbatim.
Then read it to us now. Show us the word reasonable suspicion. And the reason why you can't do it is because it's not there.
Bro,
I'm finna read it right.
I'm finna read it. I gotta find.
It's that simple.
Listen, dude. Listen. Don't disrespect me on my live stream. I'm trying to read I gotta find it. I put Georgia citizens arrest law the other day and it came up. Now all of a sudden they're giving a synopsis.
They must have taken it down for your live stream, man. They're trying to get you.
No, we'll wait. We'll wait because it's on here. It's on the internet somewhere.
I'll get it for you. Hang on.
And I'm gonna find. Here you go. I think this is it.
We're gonna get it for you. Let's see. Oh man.
Because it's a shame that they've taken it off the.
Oh no, it's just sad.
You got to go search for it. Now I got to try to find it.
Okay. It's those laws.
I got it right here. No. I got it. Okay. I found it.
All right.
It says a private person. A private person may arrest an offender if the offense is committed in the presence or within immediate knowledge.
Right. Where's the word reasonable suspicion?
No. I'm not done. And what are you gonna do when I read it?
Let's see it. I'm excited, dude. I'm so excited.
I want an apology. Are you gonna apologize when I read this?
Go ahead.
Are you gonna apologize?
If you can show me where in the clause there for a misdemeanor instead of a felony, it says reasonable. Let's go.
I didn't say misdemeanor. Felony. Listen. If the offense is a felony and the offender is escaping or attempting to escape, a private person may arrest him upon reasonable and probable grounds of suspicion.
Read the first word in that sentence.
No, bro, you owe me an apology.
What's the word? Tell him the word. Is it felony?
Well, first degree burglary is a felony.
But what does he have to have?
What do you mean? I'm gonna read it to you.
Personal knowledge.
No. Let me read it to you again, because you clearly haven't researched. Let me read to you again.
Let's hear it.
It says a private person, which the McMichaels were private people. They're not police officers. A private person may arrest an offender if the offense is committed in his presence or within his immediate knowledge.
There you go. So here's the key. Where's the immediate knowledge of a felony?
They called 911 and said we got a man that's burglarizing a house down the street and he's in the house right now. Come to the scene. Then on the 911 call, they say, oh, he's around running. That they are visibly within their immediate knowledge of a person committing a burglary. Burglary in the first degree is a felony. So that gives them, and it doesn't say that they have to go to court and they have to know what case law is. It says a private person arrests upon reasonable and probable grounds of what? Suspicion
Right. And what is the first part? You got to have personal knowledge. You can't just guess.
They did. They had personal knowledge. They said, "What do you mean?"
No one
They
saw
said they
this man
observed him.
take anything from the home. No one saw
You
this
don't
man
need to take
running
it.
with property. No one saw any of that.
Let me tell you this. You should be, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you should be slightly ashamed as a lawyer for you to be not understanding the Georgia law, but you arguing with me. They don't need to steal anything for you to be convicted, for you to be arrested for first degree burglary. The statute reads that you have to have intent. Now, do I need to read that statute? Let me read it. Cause y'all, I mean, come on, man. Like, let's read it. Let me put my phone down so I can get the thing on here. Cause now I got to look it up on the computer because I can't get on my phone. Citizen, let's see, Georgia burglary law. And I looked this up so I make sure I know what I'm talking about. Let me go down to the thing and we're gonna look it up right here. Because this is what I was reading from when I said it. Let me read it from the very beginning. Let me read it from the very beginning. Dwelling means any building structure. It says any building structure or portion thereof which is designed or intended for occupancy for residential use. Okay, I mean, it's very clear to me. But then if you go to subsection B, it says a person commits the offense of burglary in the first degree when without authority, he didn't have authority, and with the intent to commit a felony or theft therein, he or she enters or remains within an occupied, unoccupied, or vacant dwelling house of another, or any building, vehicle, roadway, car, watercraft, aircraft, or other such structure designed for use as the dwelling of another. A person who commits the offense of burglary in the first degree shall be guilty of a felony, and upon conviction thereof shall be punished by imprisonment for no less than 1 nor more than 20 years. So
Okay.
if the person,
Let's say that you're right. Let's say you're right. Let's say that everything you're saying is right. Let's go there. At what point does that burglary lead to the justification of shooting and killing that young man?
It's not even the thing. It's not even we're talking about. You're talking about. You're a lawyer and you know this. We're talking about two different things.
Sure. Let's say he committed a burglary. Is the shooting justified?
No, but that's not. The burglary has nothing to do with the shooting.
Right.
So how's the shooting correlated to the burglary? It has nothing to do with the shooting.
Okay. So my question is then, what is the crime committed that leads to the justification for the shooting?
And nobody ever said there was a crime committed. There is justification under self-defense. Stand your ground. Now let me explain it.
Sure.
Now you need to go to justification all the way down the top. If the man did in fact commit first-degree burglary,
sure. Let's just presume that's true for purposes of your argument.
Let's keep going down the list. If he did first-degree burglary, and if they have immediate knowledge of, or they witnessed him committing what they believe was first-degree burglary, which they said to the dispatcher on a 911 call, and they have every right, according to Georgia law, to pursue them in a citizen's arrest. So everything is legal up to this point. Them putting guns in their car is legal under Georgia open carry laws.
I agree with you on that.
You do not lose your right to open carry because you somehow are going to conduct a citizen's arrest.
That is 100% correct.
Okay, let's keep going. They drive down. They already have the authority to conduct a citizen's arrest. They are trying to exercise their right to conduct a citizen's arrest. The one guy gets out of the car, Travis McMichael. He has a shotgun in his hand. His rights do not end.
Wait, let's stop there. Hang on. And let's just put this piece in here. There is testimony, not testimony. There is statements out there that there was a attempt to stop Arbery at least once before the video picked up, and that he. I'm just saying, let's put that in context, and I think that's important for understanding the mindset of Arbery at this point, because they've already tried to stop him once, and then he ran the opposite direction. Because I've heard some criticisms of him saying, "Why didn't he run away, or why didn't he try to evade?" He did. Do you agree with that?
Well, he tried to evade. He didn't try to evade with the gun, but he
I
tried to
understand
evade.
that, but we agree that when they tried to stop him at least once, he did try to run the opposite direction and evade. Can we agree to that?
Well, let's say it like this. I don't know if we got to be clear about what they were actually doing. They claimed that they yelled at him. They didn't attempt to block him or stop him or get out. They just mentioned that they told him to stop. Now, he didn't stop. He continued down another street.
No, he went the other way, right? I mean, he had tried to evade them. Can we agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that.
And it didn't work. They were able to catch back up to him. All right, so now let's pick up.
Yes. Okay, so they caught back up to him. I think the guy that's filming is a part of this. At least that's what I've heard in the investigation.
I don't know one way or the other.
He is. He's a part of this. He's a third person. His first name is William Bryan. I think his name is William Bryan. He's the one video recording. He's a part of this. I'm not sure what his role is. I don't know if he's cornering the guy or not.
Same.
But the McMichaels pulled the truck down the street. They stopped. Travis McMichael got out. Greg McMichael is in the bed of the truck.
Well, let's stop there first. Let's set the scene. From Arbery's point of view, Arbery also doesn't know if the guy behind him is part of this. True?
Yeah, he couldn't know.
Okay, he has no idea. He has no way of knowing. That's number one. Number
he
two,
could know. I don't know
Arbery
if
doesn't have a weapon here. True?
Well, we know now, but at the time, who knows?
But at the time, we know that to be a fact. Actually, we don't have to speculate. He didn't have a gun.
Now,
True?
you can't say now. I mean, you got to say at the time. It's unclear if the guy's chasing Arbery or not, and it's unclear if he's armed or not at the time.
Okay. Well, have we had any statement from the McMichaels that they believe that he had a gun?
Yes.
Have we heard that?
Yes, we did hear that. They said that they believed that he had a gun because when they watched the surveillance of him in the same house before, it looked like he was going in his waistband, and they thought that he was grabbing on a gun. So that's why they believe.
How did they have access to that surveillance video and within the seconds that they got in the truck? That's odd to me.
Well, let me add this. I don't know if you know this, Mr. Lawyer, but they got several other videos of a person in that same structure that they believe to be Arbery.
Okay, hang on. I'll stop you on that because the owner, I don't know if you know this, the owner of that house says that that's not true.
No. Okay, let's talk about the owner because this is going to be a controversy that people talk about. The owner made an initial statement before this ever came out and said that somebody stole, I don't know, $2,500 worth of fishing material, but he just never reported it to the police. Now, if you a lawyer, you know to speak, you know the laws. In the article, it says that he claimed that there was never a robbery. Now, you know the elements of a crime for a robbery. Nobody's suggesting that he robbed anybody because a robbery is not trespassing. A robbery is.
I'm glad we can agree on that.
I never used the word robbery. You said I don't even know. I haven't even looked at Georgia's statute for robbery, so I don't even know. I've never used it.
Sounds like you may have misspoke. Then you did use the word robbery, but I accept that.
Where did I use the word robbery?
In your video.
Which one?
The one where you're talking about the new video surveillance.
Okay, and I said it at what point in the video? Do you remember?
I don't know. It was like 3 or 4 minutes in. But here's the point. Let's stay on track. We got one man with a gun. Excuse me, we got two men with a gun. We got another guy behind, and we got Arbery, who we now know. Fine, they believed he had a gun. My question is, at what point do you believe that the self-defense justification applies such that they can shoot him?
Okay, see, it's not what I believe. It's according to the law. So let's go with the law. So they have a legal right to open carry, right or wrong?
True.
So
at
when
what
he got,
point did they have the right to point the gun at Arbery?
Where did they point the gun at Arbery?
I'm asking you, at what point did they have the right to? Do you believe that at no point they had the right to point the gun at Arbery?
Well, if he presented himself as a deadly threat, they can.
Okay, so do you believe that Georgia law allows an unarmed person to present as a deadly threat to a person with a weapon?
Well, they never pointed a gun at him. That's the point.
I'm asking you a very specific question. Do you believe under Georgia law that an unarmed person can present a threat that justifies the use of lethal force by a private citizen?
Yes.
And what is your authority for that?
Well, it's the law. So if a person is okay, so let's look at the self-defense law. I can read it, but if a person, and this is very clear, if a person is fighting you for your firearm, the justification of use of force is that if you feel that your life is in danger or the danger of another person's serious bodily injury and or death is afoot, then you can use deadly force against somebody. Now, I use the word afoot. That's not in the statute.
Tell you what,
But you
why don't we
can,
just go straight to the law, because I don't think you're getting it right. I'm going to read it to you. All right. So we're in
this is your,
OCGA 17460. If anyone, excuse me,
what law is this?
that's the chase. We're actually going to go down to South. All right. So we're in OCGA 16321 for anyone that wants to follow along at home.
Okay.
All right. So it says that you're allowed to use force necessary to prevent death or great bodily injury to yourself or a third person, or to prevent the commission of a forcible felony. We agree?
Yeah.
All right. Now let's go to the second line right here. A person is not justified in using force if he initially provokes the use of force against himself, or he himself was the aggressor. Can we agree to that?
Yeah, I agree to that.
Now, Brunson. So a guy believes that another man is committing a burglary. It's a burglary. It's the exact same thing. He goes after him with a baseball bat. Then the guy goes, wait a minute, you're coming at me with a baseball bat. They start wrestling over the bat. The man conducting the citizen's arrest beats the alleged burglar to death, beats him to death. And he says, hey, wait a minute. I was trying to conduct a citizen's arrest, and this guy who charged at me to try and take my bat away, and I had to defend myself. The Court of Appeals said, sorry, that's murder. You go to jail now. This went all the way up to the Georgia Court of Appeals, exact same facts, and they said, listen, you're the guy who brought a bat into an unarmed fight and beat the guy to death. I'm sorry, that's not self-defense. I'm sorry, that's not a citizen's arrest. You go to jail. This is the exact same facts.
It's not the exact same. And I have to pull your lawyer card again. It's not the exact same thing. And you should know better that it's not the exact same thing. Nobody ran him down and initiated contact. The man was standing in the street, open, carrying a firearm. By law, he's able to do that.
You're telling me that if you got three dudes surrounding you with guns, that you're not going to need to defend yourself after you've already tried to run away?
The man in the car, it doesn't matter. The man in the car, they're legally able to arrest him to start with. We can get that established through citizen's arrest. But just forget about that. He's standing on the driver's side of the truck. Arbery is running.
They've already chased the dude down twice.
40, let me finish. Arbery is running from about, 40, 50 yards up to the truck. They're standing out in front of the truck with the gun in his hand. Not one point in the video the gun was ever pointed at anybody. Arbery runs from the left side of the roadway, runs around the truck, and then runs straight at Travis McMichael, who has a gun in his hand. The autopsy report shows that the initial shot was through the hand of Arbery, which means that they are physically fighting, and the initial shot happens on the driver's side of the truck when Arbery ran around the passenger side. Who met who is the question. And because
I'm telling you, it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It does. When you're the one that initiate the contact, like
this guy
has already tried to de-escalate by running away.
The contact.
Can we not agree that Arbery tried to de-escalate the experience by running away the first time?
Well, de-escalate. He burglarized the place. He ran.
No. These guys chased him down in a truck and he runs away. Is that de-escalation or escalation?
Why did he run from the house?
That's not the question I'm asking you. The question I'm asking you is when you run the opposite direction from people chasing you, is that escalation or de-escalation?
It depends. It's not de-escalation.
That depends. That's not that depends. It's a de-escalation. He's trying to not engage with them. True.
No. Let's think about this.
Does he want to engage with them when he runs the opposite direction?
It's definitely not de-escalation. It's definitely not de-escalation. And you should know that.
By running away, that's not de-escalation. When someone is chasing you with a gun, you don't. By running away, you're escalating it. Okay.
De-escalation will be him stopping and saying, "Hey, I wasn't committing the crime. I'll wait here for police." That's de-escalation. When you begin to run and you committed a crime, that's not de-escalation. If I'm as a police officer, don't try to say this.
Don't pull the police officer card. This is common sense, man.
Dude, you talking about de-escalation?
Guns. It's a black man being chased by two white men with guns who are yelling at him.
What does a black man got to do with anything?
Dude, you know how the reality is in the world.
That's not that. Oh you a lawyer?
Dude, to understand the look,
are you
I
a
can't
lawyer?
speak on
Let
behalf
me
of
see
the
your
black community.
credentials.
What I can tell you is that the
Let
experience
me
of
see your
black men
credentials.
at the hands of white men with guns,
I need to see
knowing
your
what that's
credentials.
going to be like.
I need to see your
You got to
credentials,
think
buddy.
about what his mindset was at that
And
time.
no,
He's
every
trying to
black man think the
de-escalate
same.
the situation by getting
Every
away from it. Because he
does
doesn't know if they're
every
just
black
going to
man
shoot
think
him
the same?
anyway, even if he stops.
Wow.
How
Does
many
every-
black men have been stopped just by trying to quote unquote comply with police officers, let
Wow.
alone rogue vigilantes on the roadway? Think about
Okay,
it, man.
let's talk
What
about
mindset did he have?
No, we didn't need to think about nothing, bro. You telling me every black person?
And you're trying to tell me that he could think that de-escalating it is complying with these guys?
You are
We've seen men
assuming,
comply with police officers and still get shot for no reason.
brother.
Oh,
Brother. Let's talk about this for a minute, and I don't need you to cut me off so people can hear both of our arguments.
That's fine.
You are assuming his mindset because he's black.
No different than you are assuming his mindset.
No. You mentioned his race, and then you said, and you started to think for him because he's black, and then you also mentioned their race and started to put their mindset because they're white. My friend, that is racism, and that's not going to work in court. You got to go on what was happening at the time in an impartial manner. That brother, from all intents and purposes, he was in a house, he was confronted, and he
We've
ran
already
from
agreed that has nothing to do with whether there was a justification for self-defense shooting.
Well, okay, no, it's the justification of whether or not they had the right to conduct the
Right, now
citizens.
we're on to the shooting now, though. Let's stay on focus.
But they had every right to be in the position they were in. Am I right?
At what point did they have the right to shoot him?
When he's pulling the gun from them.
And what is your authority for that?
Self-defense. You just read it.
We just read the statute and we read the case law. Where does it say that you are allowed to shoot someone who is unarmed when they try to disarm you?
Oh man, you're not a lawyer. Are you in law school?
Platform. Tell us where that authority is.
No. I need to talk about two things because people are watching it. You are not a lawyer.
What?
Are you a lawyer?
Yeah.
Where did you get your law degree from?
Mercer University, Macon, Georgia. Go Bears.
And you got a law degree.
You can go to wfirm.com if you want to learn more about me.
I am shocked because you are telling me that if a man is struggling with a gun, that is not adamant grounds for use of force.
You're right. It's not. I know you don't like that. I know. You can have whatever opinion you want on what the law should be.
Read the law
I'm just
again.
here to tell you what the law is.
Read the law again.
Let's go back to it.
Read the law again.
Say?
I mean, I had to look it up because I'm on my phone. I had to look it up
on my phone too, so we're gonna have to work through this together.
Brother, if you go to court, they will eat you alive if you say that a man can't defend himself when somebody's pulling a gun from them.
I mean, that's just how it is. I'm sorry. I don't know how it is in Arizona where you are. I'm telling you how it is in Georgia.
If somebody's trying to take your gun from you, you can defend your life, brother.
It doesn't work that way. When you're the aggressor, you can't claim self-defense from that.
How are they the aggressor when the guy?
Here's the way it would work. And I'll give you a better example because there's case law on this as well. Let's say that the man took the gun away from him and now has him at gunpoint. Okay. At that point, he can't shoot him. So Arbery could not shoot the aggressors in this situation because once he now is the armed individual and has them.
I'm gonna call yo. I ain't gonna get you fired or nothing, but y'all need to practice a little more, brother. If just say that Arbery was these were racist white people just hunting him down. Let's just use that scenario. Mr. Arbery, if he is presented with a gun and he takes the gun, he has every right to shoot with Travis and Greg.
No,
because
he just doesn't.
A reason. They have gun. Okay, they're chasing him.
Oh, hang on. The other guy in the back of the truck still has a gun. Yes, he can shoot. But if you take that out of the equation, he couldn't shoot. We're talking about a one-on-one situation here.
If people are running you down and you believe you're getting robbed or something that you begin they finna do something to you, a guy pull a gun on you, you have a right to take that gun because you have a reasonable expectation that your life is in danger and that serious bodily injury and or death is getting ready to occur. So when you pull the gun, you can expect that the other dude with a gun is going to shoot you. So you can shoot him and shoot him in self-defense. Now, let's argue on McMichael's side. If you are standing in the road, open carrying, by law, and a man runs and grabs your gun to take it from you, you have a right to shoot him. Now, let's give this scenario because I think that you should know this as well. Greg McMichael, who's standing on the back of the truck, if Arbery was to take the shotgun from Travis McMichael, Greg McMichael could legally shoot Arbery in self-defense. Am I right or am I wrong?
I don't know, because I'm just posting here this case that says the exact opposite of everything that you're saying, so people can see it in black and white.
You're talking about a man running another man down and hitting him with a bat. You're not talking about a man standing in the middle of the road and getting attacked by a suspect.
Except that's kind of what happened in the Brunson case. So let's talk a little bit more
He
about
ran
Brunson.
him down and he started to hit him he ran him down and started hitting him. He initiated the contact. At this case that we're looking at, Arbery initiated the contact. He's on the other side of the car. Arbery beelines to where he's at and started fighting him for the gun. The autopsy shows that the first shot came through Arbery's hand. That means that his hand
the fundamental thing that we're going to have to disagree on. And that's the question, is whether you can shoot someone when you're struggling over a weapon, when one has the weapon and one doesn't. Like, that's really what this comes down to. And I think that whether you realize it or not, you've kind of narrowed in on the issue that's really going to be at stake in this criminal trial. They're not going to be talking about the burglary. They're not going to be talking about.
Yes, they will.
But that's not going to be the legal issue that matters at the end of the day. And they're not going to be even talking about whether the citizen's arrest about right now, and that is whether he was justified to use the gun once they started struggling. That's going to be the legal battle that matters.
I am shocked.
I'm just telling you.
You are making these statements. Listen, man, don't cut me off so people can hear both of us argue. Brother, you have to be fresh out of law school to think that they're not going to argue the legitimacy of the citizen's arrest, because if they had no right to conduct the citizen's arrest, they have no self-defense at all. They're going to prison.
That's not how it would work at all.
Here's how it works, brother. No. If they have no legal right to be, if they have not witnessed the crime. But take
the citizen's arrest out of it. Just imagine they're just standing in the road with the guns. Just imagine that's the scenario. Self-defense law would still apply.
You can't take the citizen's arrest out of it because there's a reason they're in the middle of the road. If you have not,
for purposes of the shooting, the reason they're in the road doesn't really matter that much.
It does. Do they have a right to stop him? Do they have a right to stand in front of his pathway? If they are conducting a citizen's arrest legally, they have a right to grab him and hold him on the ground.
But did they have the right to shoot him? That's the question.
They only shot him because he started pulling the shotgun.
But were they legally entitled to do that? And the answer to that is no.
Because it's self-defense, young man.
That's just not how self-defense works. Like, I gave you the statute; it's clear as day. I mean,
what is he supposed to do? If they're wrestling for a gun, what is McMichael supposed to do? Let him take the gun?
Therein lies the problem. The crime's already been committed at that point. Like, you can't present the gun on the unarmed person. That's assault. That's assault with a deadly weapon.
Is they supposed to let him take the gun?
I don't know what they're supposed to do. They put the
let somebody take your gun. You don't have a right to let somebody take
the black letter law. Like, I mean, I don't know what else you want at this point.
You can't.
You can argue what you want the law to be all you want. It doesn't change what the law is.
You can't take somebody's gun from them.
You can't present a gun on an unarmed person and then shoot them and claim it was self-defense. You just can't do it. It's that simple.
They weren't presenting a gun. They weren't presenting a gun. They were open carrying a gun.
See, that's a nuance that you're trying to interject in this, but that's not the truth. They literally chased this man down. He tried to run in the opposite direction. Okay. They then did it again. At that point, he's in fight or flight mode. Do you agree?
You are thinking he's in fight or flight mode.
Okay, well, he only has three options here, true? He can either fight, he can try to run away again, or he can stop and hope that they don't shoot him anyway. Is that fair?
Yeah.
So those are his three options. So
shoot him anyway. What's the point? Why all of a sudden he think they're gonna shoot him?
I don't know, but you agree those are the three scenarios. Like, we don't have to debate which one's the most likely. We agree those are the scenarios.
I can agree there's three, but I don't agree with your assessment of three. There's three things he can do, right? He can stop because he know he broke in that house and he know that's why they're coming after him. He can stop, wait for the police. He could fight them for a gun because he don't have a gun, so he's gonna have to fight them with a gun. Or he can continue to run left, right, back, forward, over the fence. He can keep turning directions if he wanted to.
But at this point, he's got a gun that he, whether he reasonably believes it or not, he could reasonably believe is going to be pointed at him if it's not already. Can we agree with that? That's a fair presumption when someone is chasing you down the road and now all of a sudden they're outside of their vehicle with a gun. Can we agree that's fair?
He can believe that they may point it at him, but they didn't.
Well, we don't know that because the video kind of goes off to the right there for a second. So we don't know.
We don't have any evidence that they pointed the gun.
We don't know either way. That's fair.
Well, we do know that we haven't seen the gun pointed.
That's fair.
Okay.
But but the truth of the world is that we just don't know. But what we do know is that you've got a man with a gun. Like, what he's going to do with that gun, we don't know at that point.
No, is he legally carrying that gun?
Probably, yeah.
So he's standing out of the car legally carrying a gun because in that state you can open carry.
The problem is that you got to take the fact that he's got the gun in the road in combination with the fact that he's chasing Arbery. Like, that's the piece that's a little bit more difficult to put together.
He don't lose his constitutional rights because he's chasing somebody. He don't lose his constitutional rights because Arbery refused to stop. He still have a constitutional right to defend himself.
But Arbery, nonetheless, still has rights to not be chased by men with guns. Is it true?
Well, this is where it comes down to. And he's supposed to stop. He's supposed to stop. He's supposed to comply, stop, and turn himself into the police. If they had a legitimate reason the citizens arrest him and he ran from a building knowing he was in there doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing, that's why he ran.
All right, so hang on. I'm going to stop you there. I got a newborn baby I'm taking care of, but so I got to go. But we can end on these two things for everyone watching. So the key issue is that if you're following this at home and want to know what's going to happen next. So he's right. The first question that we've got to ask is, what is the meaning of personal knowledge or reasonable suspicion of a felony? And is that going to get us to the point of having a crime that justifies this as a search? That's number one. Number two is going to be the question of whether it was reasonable to shoot him once they're fighting over the gun. We can disagree on both of those things, but those are the legal debates that are going to happen over the next couple of weeks and months. And so thank you for having me on. I enjoyed the debate. Again, go to wfirm.com if you want to file a complaint about me and get me disbarred. I love hearing from you guys.
Hey, you just need a little more training. That's all. You don't need to get disbarred, man. All right, man.
You guys have a great evening, and thanks.
Peace. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that is very simple. And I'm not disrespecting nobody, but I got to hold you accountable when you come on my live stream. His firm needs to do a lot more training with him about self-defense. If somebody grabs your gun from you, you have a reasonable expectation that you can be killed once they take it from you. So you have a right to defend yourself. If somebody points a gun at you, you have a right to defend yourself as well. So you can't just say a person can take a gun from you and you just let them take it because you can't. And you can shoot them after they shoot you first with your own gun.
Yeah, after they take your gun,
they take your gun and shoot you, and he say, "He'll give it back to me because it belongs to me. Now I'm gonna shoot you." It's like, no, you have a reasonable expectation that they're gonna kill you if they get this gun from you. They're not trying to take your gun to take it home and put it on the shelf to design. I don't know, to go hunting with it later. They're gonna kill you when they take your gun. And so I mean, I'm gonna put this on YouTube because
that was amazing.
I ain't never seen a lawyer get his butt handed to him like I just handed to that lawyer. He didn't know stand your ground laws. He didn't know any of the laws.
He might have been a different kind of lawyer, though.
I don't know.
Like a divorce.
Yeah, maybe he's a small claims lawyer or something like that. I don't know, but